Hello and welcome to Project 5P. The body of 6-year-old Ramon Jett was found in a pond today. After he had gone missing from the family home, and according to police, I guess apparently went missing, or at least they discovered he was missing at around 12 p.m. Ended up calling the police at 2 p.m. as they couldn't find him. And then they ended up finding his body about, according to them, 125 yards away in a pond, deceased. But what does this got to do with Project 5P and preserving a healthy home? Everything. This specific type of subject hits home to me very specifically because of things that I've experienced. But let me just plead with you. Watch your children. Watch your children. Now, I'm not implying that the parents of this child were not watching, or that they did anything negligent necessarily or anything like that. I don't know the story behind that. I'm not implying that. And I don't think they're being accused of that. But I think given the opportunity, they'd be the first ones to say the same thing. It only takes once. This was a 6-year-old nonverbal autistic boy, from what I understand. And everybody thinks it won't happen to them. Everybody thinks, I mean, you know how many children go missing every year? You know how many children die from drownings or wandering out into traffic, or just all kinds of different things that could have been prevented every year? How many thousands? I guarantee you, not a single one of those parents woke up on any one of those days and thought, today's the day I'm going to lose my child. Today's the day my child's going to die. Today's the day my child's going to turn up missing. Not a single one. Everybody thinks it's not going to happen to them. Stop thinking that way. Watch your children. Again, this particular issue just touches a certain place in my heart, because I've experienced firsthand and witnessed neglect of parents. And again, I'm not saying that that's what happened in this particular case. I'm just making a plea, just like on behalf of these parents, probably. Like I said, that would probably be the first ones to say, cherish every moment, watch your kids at all times, because you never know. It only takes a split second for them to wander off, which any parent out there should know that that's true for their child already, for children in general. But I've seen so many times negligent parents that are just in la la land, just physically there, physically maybe at home, but no idea what their child is doing or where their child is at any given moment. I've gotten into some very heated conversations about the subject. Hey, where's insert name here? Oh, I don't know. They're probably in the other room. You know, they're probably playing or something. And I'm like, how do you not know where your child is and what your child is doing? We're talking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. Small children. How do you not know where your child is? Even older children, as they, as children age, obviously they have a little bit more freedoms and things like that. But how do you not know where they're at or what they're doing? When's the last time you saw insert name here? Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. and I've experienced it over and over again. So my plea, watch your children. I think a lot of parents use the excuse or the loophole or whatever you want to call it of, well, I can't watch them every second of every day. Sure you can. That doesn't mean helicopter parenting where you're right over them and like, what are you doing? What are you doing? All panicked, or, little child is stacking blocks and you're like, oh, hovering over them and don't do it like that. Don't. No, I'm not saying that. You could be in the kitchen and they're over in the living room and they're playing and they have freedom and they don't know that you're watching them. You're not hovering over them, but you know where they're at and what they're doing. If they were to wander off and be out of sight, out of earshot, you would know within 30 seconds. But I've seen too many times where that happens and the parent has no clue that the child's wandered off and the child is now in another room sticking sharp objects into electrical sockets, or it has wandered outside unattended, easily walking into the street or down the street to a neighbor, just easily snagged up anything, and the parent has no clue. Watch your children. Imagine how painful it is for that family right now to no longer have their little 6-year-old boy, their little adorable, I can only imagine, adorable, loving 6-year-old boy, because what little 6-year-old isn't? You might say, oh, P, let me show. I know some 6-year-olds that are, trust me, I know too. I've been working with children the vast majority, in fact, my entire adult life, have my own children, and I know there's 6-year-olds that can be a pain, but I've also never seen a 6-year-old with any kind of behavioral issues or any kind of anything like that that wasn't primarily due to parenting more than anything else. Children are awesome. Children are not, so yeah, I can only imagine how awesome this little 6-year-old was. Again, nonverbal, autistic, innocent little life that's gone. Another one. Watch your children, no matter what age. As they get older, they're still your responsibility until they're out of your house. As they get older and they have more freedoms, and you start to release that arrow, as the Bible says, you spend all that time pulling it back, aiming, trying to steer them in the right direction. And as you start to let that arrow go, and as they start to, you still gotta know things. Don't get me started. I'll go way off on another tangent as far as that goes, but watch your kids. Be involved. Don't just be, again, Project 5P. One of the 5 P's is presence. Be present. Not just physically. Be present. Know what's going on in your kids' lives, especially at that young age. It only takes once, folks. I was at the karate studio for my kids one time, and I saw a parent, which caught my attention because this rarely happens anymore, but there was a parent standing outside the restroom while their child went to the restroom. And we got into a conversation, and I said, it's awesome that you do that. I forget if they started the conversation or I did, but the mom was like, yeah, I'm making sure nobody, nothing weird happens. It's easy for a parent to say, a kid to say, Mom, Dad, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And you're, okay. And they just go off down the hall into a bathroom, and you're thinking, oh, it's safe. But this parent was standing outside the bathroom making sure no shady business happened, no adults go in there, nothing crazy. And I commended them, saying, you know what, not enough parents do that. And she's like, yeah, I couldn't stand the thought. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if something ever happened to my daughter for something that I could have easily prevented just by standing here. It's not hard. I had to walk 10 feet down the hallway instead of sitting in the bleachers and playing on my phone. All I had to do was come walk and stand right here, and no big deal. I was like, you're absolutely right, because it only takes once. You might say, oh, what's the chances of that happening? Who cares? Every parent says that. Everybody always thinks it's not going to happen to them. It only takes once. And when that one time happens, there's no turning back. You can't reverse it. The parents of this poor little boy can't reverse time. The thousands of others, tens of thousands that occur every year, you don't get to reverse that. That mom at karate, God forbid something were to happen, somebody goes in that bathroom, the one time that she think, oh, it will never happen, this is a family oriented place, whatever, because I'm sure she does it at other bathrooms too. If she didn't, and if she took it for granted, what's the chances that's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. She'll be fine. It only takes once. You can't undo the damage that's done once something like that happens. You can't go back in time and undo it. Be present. Neglectful parenting is like, one of my just pet peeves. And it's just, again, I'm not saying that's what happened in this particular scenario, but I'm sure every parent that's lost a child, whether lost by death, whether lost by kidnapping or disappearance, whether lost by what, would plead with other parents, be more attentive. Watch your children. You gotta know what's going on with your kids, especially the smaller they are. You gotta have literal physical eyes within eyesight, within earshot. They're sleeping. Obviously there's exceptions to that. They're in a crib, they're upstairs, or they're, in another room and they're sleeping. You know where they're at. They can't escape. But even then, they make baby monitors for a reason. Now I'm getting a little off track, but presence, not just physical presence. The family, as far as I know in this situation, were home. The boy wandered off. I don't know the whole story, but there's thousands of other stories like that. And I've heard, like I said, not this particular case because this just happened today, but I've heard the stories of other parents where this has happened and being interviewed, and where they'll be asked, if there's one thing you could say to the other parents out there, what would it be? It's usually one of two things. Cherish every moment, because you never know. Things like can happen in the blink of an eye. And number two, be more aware of what your children are doing and where they're at all times. They're your responsibility. It only takes once. Be present, physically, but also mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Not, I'm in the house with them, so I'm a stay-at-home mom, or I'm a stay-at-home dad, so look at me, I'm a great parent because I'm home with my kids all the time. But yeah, I'm home, but I don't know where they're at or what they're doing at any given moment. That's not. Be present. Get after it.